Once again, time for another Cougar Coaches Show here on Mediacom Channel 22. My name is Nick Schudel, go by Cosmo on Zimmer Radio, Y107 and KTGR, and the athletic director at Columbia College and head men's basketball coach Bob Burchard back for another season. Bob, welcome.
Thanks, Cosmo. My name's Bob Burchard.
Yes.
Sometimes I go as Coach Bob, so just to follow your lead.
Yeah, and depending on if you follow the Cougar Madness event the other night, quite a fun night, always a good event before the kickoff to basketball season, or the tip-off, if we want to be official, to basketball season. But a big fun event and get to introduce the new players to everybody, the fans and the Cougar Club members on both the women's team and the men's basketball team. Talk a little bit about that night and preparation for this season.
Well, it's a fun time of year on college campuses all across the country, Cosmo. I'm a particular fan when seasons start to collide and you start to get to the conclusion of your fall sports seasons, and the winter sport teams are busy in preparation and getting ready and excited for their first contest. Cougar Madness, like is played out across the country, is just a part of that to build some enthusiasm for the next season. And our crew does a great job of organizing fun games and doing neat things. And obviously, you got to show off your skills for half-court shot attempts.
Yeah, a miracle. It's been a couple of years, but hadn't shot a basketball I don't know how long, so I don't know if Sheila ended up with a copy of that tape or not. We'll have to try and find the half-court shot somewhere out there. So,
well, if you're going to stop shooting, then just end on that one, right?
That's the way
end on a make, as
walk
they say.
off on the win.
Yep.
And you mentioned those other sports real quick to start real quick here on your athletic director hat. The women's soccer program in their second season in existence, they win the AMC regular season championship. They were a game shy in their first year, and they come back this year with a big win. They're 1 seed. The men are right there at 2, and volleyball's hanging in the top 20, fighting through, getting ready for their tournaments. It's, like you said, an exciting time of the year. Everybody's playing at once.
And everybody's in contention at once. Yeah. And I really am proud of that as the director of this department, that the quality of our teams. And I'm really proud, Cosmo, of our new programs. I bet you I had 8 of our soccer gals come by and say, we're going to get you a banner. And sure enough, they did. And I just like the culture of success that really kind of is intertwined in all of our teams here at Columbia College. Cross country got it all started last year when the men kind of surprised everybody and won their conference meet. And I know Tim Cornell's got that group excited. And now on the women's side, we've had some great performances. Volleyball team is a standard for all of us, and they have been working extremely hard to get back into the national race. And it's been very motivating, actually, Cosmo, to see what they've done after some really potentially season-ending type injuries to get to the point where they are now. And then the men's soccer team is another consistent performer. I've kind of joked with Coach Klein, who oversees our soccer programs, that when you're doing both the men's and the women's side, you kind of constantly on a teeter-totter with results. You can be in a real high and get pretty low in a hurry. But I think they, for the most part, have been pretty balanced in the high level of play. And then, of course, with men's and women's basketball coming up, and the men's team, which is my sport, we're all starting to get the heart rate up a little bit for the start of the season.
Yeah, preseason ranked number 4, picked to win the AMC conference again, and we'll talk about the conference landscape a little bit here with some new teams again as the AMC continues to grow and expand, as do several other conferences across the country. At what point did you have a little moment over the summer when you stopped and all of a sudden kind of had to pinch yourself a little bit and go, did that 35-1 season, did that really happen? Were we ranked number 1 for the first time in school history? All the milestones that took place on that run a year ago, even though it ended in defeat in Kansas City and not with that ultimate prize with the championship at Municipal, but when did you have that kind of little moment where you said, wow, that was a fun ride?
Well, I think I had it all year last year, to be honest with you. You talk about consistency with that team in terms of their work ethic and their level of play. I was joking with Coach Brock earlier in the summer that I woke up in the middle of the night and had a dream, and we were playing in our first game, and we were down 25-3 at halftime, and I came back to the locker room and told Matt that we need to get the ball to Dressler more, and he said, "Coach, he isn't here," and so after I told that story multiple times, and everybody normally says, that's not a dream, that's a nightmare. And so I think that's probably the realization that, okay, we've cycled out some guys, and we've got to, teach new guys and change. And I think that's the fascinating thing about sport is it is seasonal, and they are just periods of time. And then you move on to the next season and try to get a new group of guys to their highest level. You kind of put that package away. And again, going back to discussions that Coach Brock and Coach Burke and I had, is really our challenge as coaches is to do that and not make comparisons because we have had changeover. They are new guys. Their skill sets are going to be different. And we need to really focus on that and not necessarily the amazing things that last year's group did. So it's a nice package, and we'll keep it out there. I did have a thought that someday, just like what happened for homecoming over here with the University of Missouri, maybe 20 years from now, the college will invite that undefeated team, regular season championship team, to come back for a reunion and I think that'll be a fun time.
That'd be a great time. It was definitely a fun run. And while, yes, there's a lot of changeover, and obviously you mentioned Jordan, obviously a big part of that team, but a really good core group of that nucleus that powered that team is back for this year.
We do have great guys back, and I think that the real positive is they're all in our ball handling positions. And I think, as we all know, guards are a huge part of success. In basketball, how you handle the ball, how you distribute it, how you handle pressure, how you shoot the ball. Those primary guys are back. Kind of the interesting thing that happened, and this just happens in the recruiting process, we lost all of our forwards all at the same time. And so our real gap in teaching is really in one position. Problem with that is that there's 5 guys out there at all times, and three are pretty much up to speed. 2 we're trying to get up to speed.
I mean, with Derek Dilworth coming back, very big leader. We've talked about his athleticism both in basketball and as a high school quarterback, and what that brings to you. To Tanner Sutton as well as a big leader for you guys. Talk about the mindset of those new guys now as they take on a bigger leadership role leading these new guys.
I'm not sure that's really occurred yet, Cosmo, and a lot of people have asked me that. And I think some of that's going to just develop over time. We've got 14 guys on the roster, 6 of which who are new. So that's a pretty big chunk. And I really think some of those leadership type things happen over time and with experience. Obviously Jordan we've already talked about, but Hal Payne had a real impact on our program the last 3 years. Ben Bowman, the previous 2 years, even though he was hurt, was a really strong vocal leader on our team. And so some of that happens just when people get to know each other. And the way in a competitive sense what guys can do, will do, and are willing to do really comes through experience and competition. And that's the stage we're just getting into. So I think some of that's going to happen over time. Obviously, we think Derek is a key player in our whole scheme of things at this point in time. I think we'll expect him to do a little bit more than he did this past year. But I think we're gonna answer those questions as we get into competition.
We'll meet some of the new players. We'll have the coach talk about who some of those guys are and what their roles on this Cougar squad are for 2013 and 2014. Again, and earlier conference games as well with the expansion of the conference. Well, a full schedule of games at Southwell and on the road on the website, ColumbiaCougars.com. We'll come back. We'll talk about the rest of the roster and a preview of the AMC conference here for the Cougars coming up after this on the Coaches Show on Mediacom Channel 22.